Last week, we shared about the illusory nature of the mind, and that's what we meditated on. I also shared on the WhatsApp group the poem by Grandmaster Hanshan, Cold Mountain. When we talk about truth, we talk about a truth that comes from within, a truth that comes from practice, from our own inner illumination. And that is so-called personal truth. There's no better word to put it, because ultimately there's also no truth, right? But our own truth that comes from inner illumination. And why do I say it comes from inner illumination? Because you are going to say that, oh, it's a truth that just comes from me. No, you might not know whether it's coming from ego. Or we add, oh, the truth that comes from inner illumination. It means you self-illuminate into your contemplations and your understanding of your relationship with the universe or with reality. You come into a great understanding of how to behave in accordance with the truth in a way that reduces your suffering and also prevents new suffering from arising. Because a lot of suffering, they are all coming from the mind itself. When the mind gets attached onto something, and our memories will flock back up, and to judge what's good, what's bad, what's wrong, what's right, how things should be in accordance to our own liking, our own preference, which is our own truth, you see? But when we can just sit back and illuminate without using much conscious thinking or conscious processing, but just sitting in. Let's say you face some suffering or you felt burned out, for example, and just sit back in and just remain silent. You meditate, you enter into samadhi, and you dive and delve deep inside to accept everything as it is first of what you've done. What you've done and led to the result of what you're feeling at the end of the day, right? And then when you sit, you can illuminate, you can understand, you can realize. That's the difference compared to bring our whole perception, our whole memory into things to judge. Because that way, we will never, ever bring about any fruits in our practice, or in fact, our life, if we just go through the usual patterns of thinking, the usual patterns of processing, the usual methods. Which is also why we have practiced together for so long. Every time we come up with a new technique or we recycle some old techniques to come in, is in a way just to kick us away from our comfort zones of using certain practices. That's to prove to us that we can actually self-illuminate. And that's about all. All these kind of practices are forms. But most important is our own illumination to understand things. How can we reduce our suffering? How can we reduce our stresses, our anxieties? How can we reduce our guilt? Reducing our guilt, which means to say that how can we make better decisions in future, wiser decisions that we will not regret after that. So ultimately, what we're practicing is in a way to perfect ourselves, to perfect our minds. Because I believe that all of us are here to practice because we want to live a better life. We want to have more peace, more balance, more harmony. And it comes to our self-understanding. Many kinds of sufferings that we hit are actually a result of our own mental obscurations, our own mental obstacles that come about. So take, for example, Zoe, you've been on many retreats, right? And some of you also have been to all kinds of retreats. And we know when we talk about eating in moderation, just take that as an example, is that when we can eat in moderation, we also realize that sometimes we eat for the mind. We don't eat because we are hungry. At least that's what I experienced when I was living as a monk. We only eat one meal a day at 7 or 7:30 a.m. and that's it. We don't consume any more food, just one meal. And after 12 p.m., actually, we're not even allowed to take even any solid food, even when we're sick, remember when I was sick and I needed to eat my medication, my teachers would just tell me to drink milk. And in some monasteries, milk is banned after 12 p.m. So we can't have coffee with milk, we can't have tea with milk. Milo is allowed, thank goodness, 3-month Milos. So when we're sick, that's how we survive. And that realization, I believe a lot of you have gone through fasting here and there, intermittent fasting, dry fasting, all kinds of fasting. You realize that when we think about food, in the evening, for example, after midday, it is the mind that wants the food. It's not really the body that wants the food. It's not required. So there's our sañña, the third of the 5 aggregates, our perceptions, our memory that comes in, that propels us to reach out towards something. And we can fall into suffering of that. So this is just about food. But what about other kind of activities that we are involved in or we're engaged in, be it in your hobbies or at work or dealing with your family? How often does sañña, our memory, our perception comes into play the moment we are in contact with something? And how can we notice that it is an old tape recorder that is playing in our consciousness, that is driving us forward to do something, to continue certain kind of behavior, certain kind of patterns, certain kind of cravings, desire. Then our likes and dislikes comes about, we latch onto them. So when we can practice in such a way, and that is to introspect, to see how sañña is coming into play, how sañña is guiding us in our life. And it's a double-edged sword, right? Without sañña, you wouldn't know how to walk. You wouldn't know how to tie your shoelaces. You wouldn't know how to open the door. You wouldn't even know how to sit on a toilet bowl when you need to go for number 2. So it's not bad or wrong, but we need to see how much are we using it, or is our memories and perceptions controlling us? Or can we guide them to help us? Okay. So it's not that we wait till we hit an obstacle or some suffering, some problems or some emotional stuff, then we start to look back and we start to process them. And that is very good if you can practice that way. It means that we have self-awareness, we can come back and reflect, we practice our mindfulness, our self-compassion. But if you want to practice wisdom, that is where you need to apply your illumination inward, to turn the mind inwards and to watch sañña. You see how sañña is operating. You can't cut it away. Like I said, if not, you wouldn't even know how to go and sit on the toilet bowl if you cut it away. So the mind is very, very tricky. When I was first ordained, one monk taught me that. Said the mind, never trust your mind. It flicks very, very, very quickly. All of a sudden, you get mood swings. Right? We all have mood swings before. So how much can we actually trust the mind? So if we are looking at liberation, that would be one thing that we can aspire to notice, not to be tricked by the mind, and to understand that the mind can freak out very, very easily, super easily. And we've lived through decades. We've been freaked out many times to realize that actually we don't have to be so startled when something happens. See, every life experience is just pointing back at us like maybe we should not trust our minds that much. Meditation is about mastering our minds or mastering our energies. In this regard, if we talk about energies, we can look at it in terms of mental energies or habit energies, our habitual patterns. When we can introspect, we can look deeply. That's where we will actually know what we can cut off within us. That's why in every meditation, we come in, we reset, we let go of our past perceptions, which is sañña also, of the experiences that we have, or some profound understanding that we have, we let it go. Throughout the years when I'm guiding or the circles, I also notice some of you to share during the sharing, say, oh, I don't have much insights today, right? So who is asking you for insights? The sharing is that you just share what your experience is. You're suffering, something pops up, share. The Sangha is here to embrace, to hear, to hold you with compassion, and that's it, right? So who is the one that say, oh, I got no insight? Because the one who says I have no insight today is also the one saying that I need to have insight. Otherwise, why would you say it? Right? So quick, right? That we just come up with our perceptions really of everything. And in the Sangha, it's safe. But outside, not so safe. If you just act on your perception, you say something out in a meeting, people remember for life, I think. Right? This person is not firm, not confident. You see? Yeah. When I mentioned this is also in meditation. The mind can trick us also when we go inside. For example, if you're very used to bliss or profound experiences, seeing lots of stuff, then all of a sudden one day there's nothing, there's no bliss at all, then what happens? Well, what do you do when there's no bliss and still? And the right thing to do is actually to just remain there. It's still, it's calm, it's peaceful, there's no mental activity, there's no high and lows, which is perfect, which means you're not having a mood swing. And from bliss to non-bliss is also another mood swing, if you put it that way, right? And elated mood and non-elated mood, right? Just let it be. No visions, no energies. It's okay. It's okay. Because who is the one who says that there must be bliss? Who's the one who says that there must be stillness? Who's the one that says that you can't have any thoughts? You might say, oh, some book, my meditation teacher says this, and all that. Then who? Because it's still happening in your mind. It's perception again. Right? So we can understand that, oh, perception, perception, perception. So let go of perception. Look inward, oh, perception. Let go of that, let go of that, let go of that. Then you reset into your own peace. We can train our minds in such a way so that it can help us in our day-to-day. It's not that you won't know what's good, what's bad. You won't know what's evil, what's pure, what's wholesome, what's unwholesome. It's just that if something unwholesome or unexpected happens, you can live with it. You won't get started. You're like, oh, okay, I see it as it is. And that's about all. The more we do that, the easier it is for us not to get exhausted. And the easier it is for us to continue our daily practice, to come back, to come back, to come back, and to come back, and to come back. And then to just dissolve. Dissolve into what? We don't need to say nothing, because it's just another perception, right? Even if it's something that you've never experienced before, you might say, how can I call it a memory? Well, we can, because the mind likes to intellectualize. It likes to imagine what a certain experience that has been yet to attain, to be like. So, oh, that's another perception. Another one of my concepts, my own ideas of me needing to grasp onto something to make sense. It is just the mind not being still. The mind is moving. And we are moving along with the mind. And the whole practice is not to move along with the mind. It's just to sit back and then we can observe. We observe. Let it be like waves of the ocean. It doesn't matter if it's a gentle wave or tidal storm. It's just a wave, it will pass. There's many different causes and conditions that generated those waves. And we don't even have to find out what kind of conditioning was causing the waves to happen. Just, it's okay. So if you get into nimittas are signs, translated as signs in meditation. Nimitta can be a light, that comes on its own. It could be energies in the body, or feeling even oneness with the environment, or some twirling sensations, anything when it comes. These are what we call nimitta. And nimittas can be used as a focus point to stabilize the mind, to lead into jhana. And these nimittas, if they move and they change, it means that the mind is moving. So if you notice such things happening, like if you have a vision, for example, or a light, and the light is pulsating, it's moving, then what you do is ignore it. If you feel that your body is levitating, or one side is warmer than the other, one side is heavier than the other, you see a smoke, just about any kind of thing, any kind of extrasensory experience, as long as it's moving, you let it go. Don't follow it, because the mind is actually latching onto it, trying to control it, and you just let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. All right. So our own illumination is to simply sit and just to understand the mind. So that's what we'll do today.